guys, today we are going to discuss this problem. It's the first problem in a Division 1 problem set, and its rating is 1800. So as always, we are going to introduce this problem by explaining the example here. So the input is a string constructed by three kinds of characters: left and right parenthesis and the question mark. And we need to output a single number, that is the count of the valid substreams in this string, right? What is the valid substream? That is after we replace the question mark with either left or right parenthesis, and we check if the result is a valid string, right? So why the output for the text is 4? It is because let's check all of its substreams, right? So the substream start from the first characters are this one, only a left parenthesis is not valid, right? And this one, two left parenthesis is not valid. And this one with the question mark, no matter what we replace the question mark with, it won't be valid, so it's also invalid. What about this one? So for this one, if we replace the question mark with the right parenthesis, then the result substream is valid, right? Two left parenthesis and two right parenthesis, it is valid. So that is one of the valid substream. And let's move on. How about this one? No matter what we do with the question mark, it will always be invalid, right? So we can find one valid substring. Start from the first character. So let's move on. What about the substreams that starts from the second character? So this is the first substream, not valid. The second substream, we can replace the question mark with right parenthesis, so it's valid. The third one, not valid. The fourth one, yes, it's valid. We can replace the question mark with the left parenthesis, right? So we find three valid substreams now. So let's move on. What about the start from the third character? So we can, no, nothing we can do. So what about this one? We can replace the question mark with the left parenthesis, so it's valid. So we found all four valid substreams now, right? So that's why we output 4 for the first test case. So how do we solve this problem? How do we count the valid substreams? So let's take a look at the size of the problem. So the length of the string is less than 5,000. So 5,000 is a magic number, right? If we see a 5,000 here, we can immediately know that the solution we are looking for is n squared, right? That is a very valuable piece of information, right? So with that being said, we are going to have two for loops. The first for loop is iterate all the start positions. We can start from the first, second, all the way to n, right? So uh, the first for loop is to iterate all of those starting positions. And the second for loop is a for loop that iterate all of those ending positions. In this way, we can iterate all possible substreams. And the rest is to just check if the current substream is valid or not, right? And it has to be complete in O1 time, right? Because the two for loops already consume n square complexity. So the checking process must only take O1 time, right? So how do we check if current substream is valid or not? So let's take a step back. If we have a stream constructed by left and right parentheses, how do we check if the stream is valid? So we are going to have a left parenthesis counter, right? So we have a pointer started from the left side, and if we find a left parenthesis, we are going to increase this counter by 1. So when the counter is pointed to the first character, the counter is 1, right? Just one left parenthesis, and we move the counter to the right. And now we find two left parentheses and move the counter further. Now we find the right parenthesis. In this case, we are going to decrease the counter by 1. That is, we still have one left parenthesis to cover, right? And we move further. So point to this character. We find another right parenthesis. So we decrease the left parenthesis counter by 1. Get 0. Now the counter of left parenthesis is 0 now. That tells us that the current substream is a valid substream, right? And we need to make sure that the left counter never is less than 0, right? Why is that? Because if we have a substream like this, here the counter is 1, here the counter is 0, here the counter is -1. And here, at this position, the counter is decreased to negative. That means this substream, no matter what happened to the rest of the stream, this substream can never be valid because the counter is negative, right? So let's come back to the current problem. So when we got a substream like this, the counter for the left parenthesis is 1, right? 2. At this point, what do? We can have another counter, which is the number of question marks. So here we can put a right parenthesis here first, and keep counter of the question mark. So at this point, the left, because we replace a question mark with the right parenthesis, so the counter of left parenthesis is decreased by 1. So currently it's 1 now. And also the question mark counter is going to be 1, right? We have 1 question mark and 1 left parenthesis. And we come to this position, a right parenthesis, then we get 0. So this guy is valid, right? And what if we get a what if we get a substring like this, right? So the when the pointer is here, the counter is 1, right? 1 left parenthesis. And for the second character, we decrease the left counter by 1 because we put a right parenthesis here first. And when we get to this point, the 1 second, at here we got a question mark, so we increase the question mark counter by 1, right? And when we point it to here, the left counter is going to decrease to a negative number, right? Because we get a right parenthesis here, so we decrease 0 to -1. So now the counter is -1. It cannot be happening. So we are going to change the previous question mark to left parenthesis, right? What's the impact of changing the question mark from right parenthesis to left parenthesis? That is a change of 2 in the counter of left parenthesis, right? Because not only we remove a right parenthesis and we add a new left parenthesis. That is 2, right? So we need to increase the current left parenthesis counter by 2. So that is 1 now, right? So at this point we can still have 1 left parenthesis. And we move the pointer to the right and we get a right parenthesis. So we decrease the value by counter by 1. That is 0, right? So now we get a counter of 0 now. So we find another valid substring. So that's how we solve this problem. So I'll put the code into the description part of this video. So if you want to look at the code, I'll send this link below the video itself. All right. So thank you for watching. Hope that can help. See you next time.